Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and today I want to talk about a private server that has been around longer than almost any other private server out there. It's a server that has survived many ban waves, internal staff issues, other competing servers opening, the launch of Classic WoW, and a whole lot more. No matter what was going on either Classic or on private servers, this particular server always managed to survive. I'm talking about Warmane's Icecrown server. This Wrath of the Lich King private server is, despite the launch of Classic Wrath of the Lich King, still rather popular, and I see comments very regularly on either forums, subreddits, or on my own videos of people saying they just decided to roll on this server. So what is the appeal of the server? Why is it still around and thriving after all these years? Well, today I'll give you guys my thoughts on this private server. So let's start off with the team behind this private server. Warmane is a team that has been around well over 10 years. They originally flew under the Molten WoW banner until there was some internal staff drama with one of the team members basically running away with a whole lot of information in regards to the server, the characters there, the code and whatnot. This event in the private server community has been rightfully dubbed the Meltdown. These days, however, they're known as Warmane, and their main bread and butter, so to say, is a high-rate Wrath of the Lich King private server called Icecrown. Now, I've been playing on and off on this server for quite some time now. I think it was around 2015 or so when I first dabbled into the server, and over the last 8 years I've played on countless max level characters here. I had a 6k gear score Balance Druid, a 5k gear score Elemental Shaman, this Prot Paladin, and tons of other max levels. So, needless to say, I have a lot of hours that I sank into this server. So, because it's still quite popular these days and still relevant, I would like to share with you guys my thoughts because there's a lot of things you should at least be aware of before playing here. So let's start at the beginning. Warmane Icecrown is a high-rate experienced Wrath of the Lich King private server with also increased reputation. This means that leveling and gearing up a new character can go lightning fast. So as someone like me who is a total altaholic, that's a very big plus. And unlike many other private server teams, their staff is actually quite professional and competent. Say what you want, but Warmane monitors their servers very carefully, and there wasn't a single day that would go by that I would be playing on it where people wouldn't be banned for things like gold selling, botting, ninja looting and whatnot. So in regards to that, I'd say they're one of the best teams out there in the private server scene. Another thing I have to give them a lot of credit for is what I mentioned in the beginning. Now, I've played on countless private servers that promised the world and beyond, only for them to shit the bed very shortly after it was released. And then there was this server, always there, always online, and always full with people. Over the last 8 years, I would hop on, go wild on a new character, gear it up, then leave it alone for literally 2 years, and after all that time, my character would still be there and the server would still be alive and breathing. And that's another huge plus about this server. It's one that really seems like it will just always be there. And you can rest assured that when you start a character here, it will be around years later after you decide to play on it again. In terms of stability and security, I think almost no other private server can touch Warmane's Icecrown. So, a server that seems like heaven for altaholics, a place that will stick around for years to come, and tons of people playing on it. What's not to love? Well, there are some things that you should know about this server. Now, this is highly debated, but time after time again, there have been people that came out with tests to see if their insanely high population were actual players. And I've seen many posts showing that a lot of random characters leveling in zones were actually bots. Wait, Hamster, you just said that Warmane is lighting fast with bot bans. How does that make any sense? Well, here's the thing. Warmane's Icecrown server is notorious for having long queue times during peak hours. But if you pay $10 to upgrade your account, you can skip the queue. So basically, and I don't have any definitive proof of this, it really seems like there are bots that intentionally keep the population at record numbers, so real people are stuck in the queue, which almost forces them to dish out $10 in order to skip said queue. I know, that sounds really shady and it could not be true at all, but it does seem kind of weird that there are so many random characters on the server and they just happen to have a long queue time that you also happen to be able to skip if you pay them money. But even if all of this is true, then yes, it sucks to have to dish out $10 to skip the queue, but even with all those alleged bots, it can't be denied that this server still has a ton of real people playing on it. Every single night, There are tons of pugs being formed, and a city like Dalaran is absolutely packed with people. Queuing up for heroic dungeons for me always went lightning fast on my elemental shaman, and if I would queue up as Resto, I'd find a group in the blink of an eye. So there's no denying that the server is very alive and packed with real people leveling up, running raids, and doing battlegrounds. So going back to money real quick, you also have to realize that this server does have a cash shop, and I've had many occasions where I saw some random crap-geared paladin running around with a weapon from heroic ICC. It looks stupid and it ruins any sort of immersion if that is your thing. Another thing I really noticed in my time of playing here is that there is a high ceiling for new players. Pug raids often demand outrageous levels of gear score even for normal raids. The economy, because the server is so old, is hyperinflated, so buying high-level BOE items off the auction house can cost you an arm and a leg. But that also means that you can make some really nice money farming things like leather, which is exactly what I did on my paladin. Now, if you can get your foot in the door in some sort of raiding guild with nice people with demands that aren't too crazy, you should be alright. But if you want to gear up through pugs, expect to spend a lot of time and a lot of money getting to a high enough gear level for even the most normal of raids. So, Warmane's Icecrown server is a bit of a walking controversy. At one hand, it's beginner friendly because it's easy to make quick money, you level up very fast, and you can get blue and epic items very fast through reputation. But, on the other hand, finding a spot in a pug raid can be a nightmare because of the very high demands in terms of gear and achievements. Another thing you have to keep into consideration is that on this server, I'd say the community is okay, but generally speaking, there are a fair amount of antisocial or just plain toxic people playing here. It's a bit of a mess, though I will say that in my many hours of playing here, I did also encounter a fair chunk of nice people along the way. Now, as far as the scripting goes, I'd say that it's pretty good, though I've heard people say that there are still bugs out there that even after the many years that the private server has been up, are still there. Overall, in my own experience, I think it's pretty good, and I barely ever encountered some sort of bug here. So yeah, would I recommend you to play on Warmane's Icecrown server? Well, there's a lot to tolerate here. First, you might have to dish out $10 to never have to sit in the queue, and you'll have to tolerate the fact that people can buy gear there. You might encounter a fair bit of toxic people, and because the server has been fully progressed for many years, it's not like you're starting at the same point as everyone else, and you'll have to play catch up for quite a bit. But there's no denying that in terms of stability and security, this is one of the best servers out there. I mean, what other server is out there where you can say, oh yeah, I still have that max level character that I played on 6 years ago. You know what? Let's play on the character again. I think zero, apart from Warmane's own servers. And that is worth its weight in gold in the private server community. And like the cash shop or not, it does allow Warmane to allocate a lot of funds to professional staff, which in turn means that they have relatively low internal staff drama, and they are very quick with things like banning gold sellers and ninja looters. So if you want to just be able to play on a high populated raft server that will be around for probably another 10 years at least, and you can tolerate the cons, then by all means, give it a try. After all, with its high rate, it takes little time to give it a go yourself and see if you like it or not. And that's gonna do it for now. As always, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel and have a good one.